Hello and welcome back to the SuperCoach Paige Show for 2014. And I'm Paige, and of course I'm joined by Damon. How are you, Dale?
Yeah, not too bad, Paigey. Good to go, raring to go for season 2014.
And obviously, at my left, we've got Cameron Woods joined the panel in 2014.
What a big signing.
I know, it is exciting. Mick joins us from AFL Europe. How you doing?
Yeah, thanks for the warm welcome,
You're
Paige.
welcome.
Not Cameron Wood, my name is Mick. And I'm much more valuable than Cameron Wood.
Yeah, I would
let's just say
probably
that.
attest to that. Anyway, as you can probably see, guys, we've lost Matt for 2014. Unfortunately, he has followed Buddy up to the Sydney Swans, but obviously we've got Mick, which is all right. So
Best trade.
not so bad.
Best trade you could have done.
And Joyce is chasing the dollars, of course. But,
He is. He's up there living the Bondi life.
But before we get into it, Paige, congratulations on getting published in the Herald Sun of all places.
Thank you very much. Very proud. At the moment, it's great for SCP. It's great for the entire team, not just me. So. But hey, I guess we've got some football to talk about, some SuperCoach people to look at. So we'll have to move on.
Yeah, we will.
Hold on a second, you guys. I'm still here.
There he is.
He wasn't
in
supposed to
sunny
be there.
Sydney right now. I'm still going to be here on the show via Skype. I know it sucks that I'm not going to be on the show itself, but Cameron Wood's going to do pretty well for you guys, and you'll still have my amazing insight, and I'm going to thrash you all this year.
Just on the sun there, Joyce. Looks quite sunny behind you there in the
Yeah, no,
windows.
it's really sunny. You know, indoor sun, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, we've got to move on to the SuperCoach game so far. NAB Challenge has come. Fremantle versus West Coast was last night. How do we think of that?
Yes, West Coast gave Fremantle a good old shellacking, which was a nice surprise. I think a lot of people thought Freo were going to come out and do the same to West Coast. But the players that caught our eye, Nat Fyfe, he's one of my favourites, and he's priced at 574, 300 for this season, and he scored quite well, 113, and had a kicking efficiency of 64%, which is Nat Fyfe-like. I think, he's not renowned for his good kicking, and had 26 possessions as well to go with it, so it was quite good.
Not a bad effort.
Aaron Sandilands, he's one that's been talked about a lot in the off-season, as a bit of a potential bargain player. He's been injured over the pretty much his entire career, and ended up scoring 91. He's priced this season at 310, 700. Had a solid game and had a kicking efficiency of 87%, and at 91, scoring that, consider him.
300k. If he's performing like that, then he's in my side to begin with.
Yeah, it's just whether he can hold up his body, I guess. Matthew Pavlich is the one we move on to next. 437, 500. Now he started on the ground, and he got subbed off later in the game. He had a kicking efficiency of 63.6%.
Not Pavlich-like.
Not great, but he is such a gun.
Yep.
It's sort of hard to turn him down.
I think he's one of the players that when the season starts gets going, so will he.
And that's another thing. He is, for the gun he is, 437,000. It's a good buy. Next one I looked at was Lachie Neale. Now I don't know too much about Lachie Neale. To be honest, he's a midfielder, sitting at 468, 700. He got 93 in the NAB Cup game. He played through the middle.
Really, he keeps his spot in the midfield, I think now.
Yeah, but you never know with Ross Lyon.
That's the problem with in the past.
Anything.
I think he's struggled for game time, and he had 76% against West Coast. So I think
he's one of those standout performers for mine, I think. But moving on to the West Coast players now, Xavier Ellis. He's been a hot topic of everyone this pre-season. 159k he is. He had a pretty outstanding night. 21 disposals, 4 marks, 3 inside 50s, 3 rebound 50s. Got a disposal efficiency of 76. Now, he did only score the 89 SuperCoach points, but his clanger rate was right down. But given his disposal efficiency was so high, I'm a little surprised that he only scored that. But nonetheless, I'll take that for a guy that's priced at 159. He's cheaper than some rookies that are playing in their first season. So he, for mine, is one to look at especially. It's just whether or not West Coast use him as the sub this year, which is probably going to be the sticking point. But
he wasn't in my side, but he definitely is now after that performance.
He's clocked himself into my side very quickly after last night's performance. Moving on to Luke Shuey. He looks like he's probably back. Now, he was really hampered with injuries last year. He struggled with form. He started off as a possible breakout contender, but just didn't get there. 484,000. Oh, sorry, no, he's not. He is 489,000. He picked up 125 SuperCoach points, but it's just the fact that we haven't seen that on a consistent basis.
He's definitely in my team because of the price. He's around my 4th midfielder.
He's going to be between Shuey, Mark Murphy and Dane Beams, those three are all within $1,000 of each other. So picking up at least one or two of those three is going to pay big dividends this year. But that's a whole new thing.
Give you a tip, Paige. I've got all three.
Me too. Me too.
Bit of a hot tip there. Get on him, I think. Get on him.
Moving on to Mark Hutchins.
That's for me, guys. He scored 107 from only 62% game time, and that's pretty good. 27 disposals. He's still a relatively new player, so he's got that Pritis feel about him. So he can rack up a lot of ball and a lot of points from very few minutes on the ground. And as well as Jamie Cripps, I think he's been very, very good. He's a forward, and he's at that awkward price of like 267,500. And he scored 104 on the weekend, so on the weekend a few days ago. And he impressed really up forward. He kicked 3 goals. But he's done this before. In the 2013 preseason, he scored 117 against Port Adelaide and then averaged around 50-odd for the year. So it's really up and down with him. And, maybe if he does, score a big again in the next game, that's a reason to put him in your side. But until then, that's just not quite enough.
Yes.
And moving on to the next game, it's Gold Coast against Essendon, and I think someone's going to talk about the Little Master.
That would be me, Joycey. Little Master is my favourite. I love him. Best player in the AFL by far. He's priced at he's a lofty price, as he always is, $695,000. He's scored 159, which is stock standard for Gazza, but he kicked the winning behind as well. That was fantastic to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did.
And he's not the most expensive this season, though. That's a good thing about him.
That is true, yeah. But
so you can sort of justify it. Sort of.
Oh, you have to start with him. Simple.
Yeah, he's the first player picked in my side every season.
First player picked, and the people that tell me that he's too expensive, no.
Value for money.
Yeah.
Just take it.
You mean like me?
You're
Yeah.
just cheap.
Yeah.
I'm too cheap.
That's why you're chasing the money up in Sydney.
You're a
Carl.
cash cow now, so you are. Moving on to David Swallow, is another player that a lot of people are eyeing off, especially because now he's got he's the dual position status player. He's now a defender and a midfielder. He's priced at $429,400, so he is quite tasty. I think he's at a tasty price. So
Bruce
I
McAvaney
like him.
now.
He's in my side. After that performance, he spent the entire time in the midfield. Only dropped back a couple of times, but when you look at his disposal efficiency, it was his highest disposal efficiency we've seen in his career so far, just from that one game. So he's got the faith now of the side to push into that midfield. I like him, and if he's going to stay playing that position and sneak forward for that goal that he kicked, then I will take the 90-odd points each week for that price. He is cheap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Good point, yeah.
And moving on to Jack Martin, he's a midfielder. He was the mini draft pick #1, priced $222,300, so a lot more expensive than your usual mini draft picks. Jaeger O'Meara was only 108, I think, at the start of last year. So you're going to be wanting, the same sort of numbers that O'Meara got, but he only got a 48 when the Gold Coast played Essendon, and that was from 14 disposals, 3 marks, 4 tackles, and 3 inside 50s. So I don't know if you can really justify paying that much for a rookie that's only going to give you that many points. I mean, he's not got the same build as O'Meara, who's a tank, and I had him in my side. I've taken him out. He's not in my side anymore.
That's
so
what we're going to discuss later on, though, I think.
Yeah,
But
I'm on the fence as well. Anyway, moving on, we've got David Zaharakis who comes up next in the midfield. Now, I'm almost there with him. I've almost got him in my team.
Really?
After the performance, obviously,
Is it a
against the Gold Coast.
Though? Joe Watson's still going to come in?
I was always a fan of Zaharakis, but now he's just sort of pushing me that little bit further. 43 disposals. I know, obviously, it was against
career high too.
the Gold Coast, and it's a preseason game, but what else have you got to go off?
That's true.
But
I like him.
then again, if Watson's not playing, you'd think that Zaharakis would get more attention, and you don't have to score that without Watson. Pretty good.
It's impressive. Michael Hibberd, I love this guy. He has just rolled himself into my SuperCoach side at the moment. Hibbo is 5'17", 300. He's a real unique prospect in the back line because everyone's jumping on board Bartel, Malcheski, Mitchell, Hanley, Shaw and the like, and everyone's forgotten about Hibberd. So Hibberd, 5'17", 300, scored 89 just the other day. 25 disposals, 84% disposal efficiency, and 10 marks with 5 rebound 50s. That is what you want for a defender, and he's the epitome of that new age rebounding, high possession getting, and SuperCoach scoring defender. So he and his teammate Ben Howlett, and I'm giving this kid some serious consideration as well. $402,000. That is absolutely peanuts. Now, 93 points he scored. He racked up 19 disposals, 8 marks, and did some really classy things. And considering the forward line's getting a bit sticky this year, he's someone to really consider for mine.
Yep.
Will he get a run through the midfield much during the year, though?
I think he'll play cameo appearances, but he just looks natural playing off that hard forward flank and then rolling through the midfield. For me, I think that's his position this year, especially with so much depth coming through that Essendon midfield. But moving on now to Adelaide v Port Adelaide. That was a very interesting match.
Yeah, it was, and Matthew Wright was the top scorer for that. Forward mid this year, as well as last, I believe, but he's only priced at 384,900, and he got 159 on the weekend, which was, insane numbers. And it was pretty disappointing his 2013 season, to be honest. I mean, that was the season that everyone expected him to break out and, rack up these huge scores like the one he got against Port the other day. But yeah, he got 36 touches, 2 goals. It was really Ablett-like if you had to compare him to anyone. And he got a 71.3 average in 2013. But if you take out all the times he was the sub, it's 84.7. So I think that more than justifies picking him. And he shows how high his ceiling is. Getting a 159 is no, easy feat. So if you're going to select him like I have, I think you'll get a lot of money at the least. And if not, then you'll get a keeper. So I think he's a very good pick.
He's probably going to have that Brenton Sanderson faith put in him at this stage. He just wasn't in their thoughts. But considering the injuries that have happened, obviously with Henderson going down, Van Berlo as well has, he's injured too. Bernie Vince has gone to Melbourne. There's spots that are opening up. And Matthew Wright, we saw 2012, that run home in 2012 when he had that average in the hundreds towards the end, made him a really hot prospect. But who have you got for us, Nick?
Very interesting stats there about him being the sub as well. Patrick Dangerfield is the next one, and for mine, he's a lock in the forward line.
Absolutely.
609 grand. You talk about Ablett and Pendlebury and everyone being value for money. This guy is he's just a freak, and this is going to be his year, guaranteed. If last year wasn't his year,
he co-captain now
this year.
Come close to the Brownlow, I think. Very good.
And with a disposable efficiency of 80% in that game, he was just. Forget about it. Didn't get many touches and still got 84. Yep.
He just knows how to put the points on the board. But a rookie that I'm a big fan of, and obviously I spoke about this kid a lot last year, Matty Crouch, for some reason, slipped all the way into the second round into Adelaide's laps. Now, he was an absolute beast for North Ballarat in the TAC Cup last year, and he was regularly averaging 38 disposals a game. He was the #1 contested ball winner in the TAC Cup, and he has slotted into AFL life seamlessly easy. I really rate him. 117 grand is going to set you back, and that is nothing in this game. He scored 95 SuperCoach points, lived up to the hype, as I said. He just had an absolute outing with 24 disposals and 7 tackles, which was a team high in his debut. So watch for him. As we said before with Adelaide, there are injuries, and a player of his ilk, if he can step alongside his brother Brad, they're going to be a formidable duo.
I was about to say, he's taken a leaf out of his brother's book.
Has,
and the only question mark I have over him is whether or not he's going to get a game.
Well, just like Paige was saying, with injuries and etc. in Adelaide.
The only issue is probably his aerobic capacity at the moment, but he showed obviously already that he's improved that over the preseason.
And definitely with players going down recently, some of the youngsters, called Dashney, I don't know if that's how you say his name.
Cole Jashney.
Cole Jashney and other sort of players similar, O'Rourke, going down injury, he's one to definitely look at.
He steps back into the midfield now.
And another young player to keep an eye out for is, he's got a long name, Cam Ellis-Yeolman. You can select him in the midfield this season. He's priced at 123,900 and scored 71. Quite impressive, and was highly touted by Adelaide, and they wanted to take him in the national draft, but of course, with their draft picks being taken away, they had to take him in the rookie draft. So wait for him to be elevated first, or if he's a nominated rookie. I don't know if they've released them yet. No, not yet. So if he is a nominated rookie or gets elevated, I think he might be one to consider.
Another one to wrap up this game, Jarman Wheels Impey. That's the nickname we gave him at TAC Cup Radio. Now, he was a star last year for Murray Bush Rangers. He started off as a small forward in the TAC Cup, but he returned from the National Championships as an electrifying rebounding defender, and he was a barometer player. He set games alight with his line-breaking runs, tucks the ball under his arm and just goes. Now, he was a really interesting one. He only had 31 points, which isn't really the Wheels Impey that we know, but he is, mark my words, he'll be a very good player this year. And Port Adelaide have already made note that he is someone that they're going to look at starting from round 1. But
there's a lot of good, interesting names as well in the
it's
rookies
the
this year.
name year this year. I reckon they've done well.
Alice Yeoman. There's one more page there. Jared Polek, midfielder. He's at 172,600, which is a little bit pricey, I guess, considering the plays you can get in his spot. He got 87. He showed some moments of class. He got the 20 disposals. Solid, nothing too spectacular, but he's definitely one to look out for in the next few games.
Moving on to North Melbourne and Carlton.
Yep, Jack Zeeble was number 1. He's 149 as a midfielder. I think this is going to be his breakout year. He's still only a midfielder, but, 29 disposals, insane. I think the only problem with Zeeble is, can he stop himself getting suspended? Because it seems to happen every year. Even when he doesn't really deserve to get suspended, he gets 4 games and that sort of thing. So hopefully, he'll get a bit of luck from the match review panel from now on. But I think he's certainly able to be your number 6 or number 7 midfielder. I'm starting him this year. And another player I'm starting is Luke McDonald, who's a father-son pick for the Kangaroos. Defender and a midfielder at 182,300. He only scored the 61, but 77.3% efficiency. He's already done a full preseason with North Melbourne, and I think he's a lock as well. He's one of those few rookies that are going to play a lot of games.
Drew Petrie, the big man in the North Melbourne forward line, moving on. He's 554,300. He's getting old. He did dominate a little bit. He's kicked a lot of goals in previous years, but can he do it again?
I reckon he can. That new rule for the forwards, he's going to be a huge beneficiary. But also, he does average more points, 35 more points in North Melbourne wins than he does in losses. And considering we're tipping North Melbourne to be thereabouts in the top 4 this year, they're going to win a lot of games, and Petrie's going to be a huge factor in all of those, I reckon.
Well, he was in your your dream team last year, wasn't he?
Yeah,
All-Australian.
Yep, All-Australian. He made it into our SuperCoach All-Australian side. But who else have we got next? Daniel Curry.
Daniel Curry. He's a ruckman. He's in my team. He's on the bench. 123,900. He could potentially be a cash cow. Apparently, a lot of other clubs were after him.
Yep.
And he stayed with North Melbourne. Why? Obviously, they probably offered him game time, so let's hope that's the case. And
we're finally going to see him play some games.
Definitely one to look out for, and probably definitely one to sit on your bench.
And another player they got in the off-season, North Melbourne, was Joel Tippett, the brother, of course, of Sydney's Tippett. You can select him as a defender this season, and he's priced at 123,900. And he's at that price, I think you could take a gamble of him.
Yep.
Not too many rookie options down back, so definitely have a look at him. And he scored 56. Looked at home, and I'd definitely consider him.
Another player for Carlton this time is probably the most impressive. Andreas Everett, the new recruit. He picked up 122 SuperCoach points, 3 goals. He did everything that day for Carlton, and he probably looks very interesting. Not sure how consistent we're going to see that sort of scoring, but nonetheless, 342,000. He's a bit of an awkward price for mine, but who knows? He could prove to be a very handy pickup. If
you do have that money left over, then definitely one to look at. Moving on.
We're moving on now to Melbourne versus Richmond, and who have we got for us?
Yes, it was a bit of an upset there, but good to see the D's playing well. Jack Trengove, I should say. Sorry. Yes, he's midfielder, of course. He's priced at 404,500 and scored quite well. Got 121, and even though he still looks as though he lacks the pace, he did do quite well and racking up the ball. And I think as a point of difference player, he might be one to consider. But personally, for me, wouldn't go for him.
No, me neither.
No. And another player, of course, Bernie Vince, got him in the off season, and he's a bit of a smoky for mine. He's priced at 424,300 and ended up scoring 115 and was best on ground for that game. So
I think you'll actually see a lot of teams in the competition, in the SuperCoach competition, include either Trengove or Vince, just for the fact of their price tag. And as long as they can perform during the season, they are going to go up.
They're in the best 10 at Melbourne already, so that's
not
a bad thing.
Stat.
But look, moving on to a really good rookie we should be having in our forward lines. J. Kennedy Harris, he's a forward. He's $117,000. He's really cheap. 99 points, lock. That's the only thing I'm going to say. I'm going to move straight on. I'm not even going to discuss it. Just get him in the side.
Definitely.
And now a great one. Now he looks like Mr. Bean and probably plays a little interesting as well. Alexis Giorgio. What a beautiful name. That is a great
Papa
name.
Giorgio.
He's $102,000. Now, he's still on the rookie list for Melbourne, but with obviously Brent Riley being shifted to their long-term injury list, he's definitely the first one in the pecking order to earn an upgrade there to the senior side. If you need any more proof of that, look, he had a great game. He scored 70 in his first outing. 70 SuperCoach points, was really efficient with his disposal use. He's a 24-year-old and he's come across from Norwood, so he's played a huge part in Norwood's back-to-back flags over there in the Sandfall. So he's someone to consider straight away, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Dom Tyson and Viv Mitchie. I think it's going to be a toss-up for a lot of people between these two.
Who
Obviously,
would you have?
for me, Viv Mitchie. Viv Mitchie, again, is a better name. First of all. Second of all, he's cheaper. They're both in the midfield. Viv Mitchie coming over from Freo. Had a year under Ross Lyon. Was it a year? Yep. Year under Ross Lyon. So, I mean, who knows what he's picked up from there. Dom Tyson scored only 38. He's very highly rated, though. That's the only thing. So you got to sort of take these things into consideration, whether Mitchie will keep it up or not.
Yep.
And last but not least, the only Richmond player we're going to discuss is Sam Lloyd.
Of course, you're mentioning convenient.
Yes. Forward player, 117 priced and 49 against Melbourne. So there were only 3 Richmond players that scored over 80 against Melbourne. So I think that sort of shows how much they were trying. So it makes you seem like did Trengove and Vince do that well? That's what I'm trying to say. And that's why I think you should be wary of them. But I think Lloyd's something to look at, later in the year. He needs to build up his match fitness and fitness base. But I think he's a very good pickup, a mature age player, did very well for Frankston. So quite a good pickup. Moving on to Brisbane against Hawthorn, it was kids against a senior team. And Sam Mitchell, tell us about him.
Look, defender midfielder this year, and I think he's probably the only one of those 4 new defender midfielders that you should be considering. I'm not buying into Bartel, Malcheski or Walker this year whatsoever. It's just Mitchell for mine. 562k, he is pricey, but he is every bit worth it. He's not shown one sign yet of slowing down, despite the fact that he's going to be 32 this year. So 73 points, no it wasn't, sorry, 118 points. Look at that. He is going to be in a lot of teams this year with that DPP status, but also with Ben McAvoy. What have we got there?
He's a ruckman. Obviously, he's been traded from the Saints to Hawthorn. Was very surprised about that. Sitting at 503,300, scored 101. There's not much else you can say. He's in the best team in the league. Well, arguably the best team in the league, and he's looking very impressive. So definitely one to look out for.
And someone else to look out for as well with your midfield rookies, Mitch Hallahan, who I really like. He's the one that will take over from Brad Sewell. 72 against Brisbane, priced at 123,900. The thing is, it was against a Brisbane side that was less than impressive. They played a lot of kids, so I know Hallahan doesn't exactly have a lot of experience, but he had those senior players around helping him, get more of the ball, get higher scores, that sort of thing. So take his score with a grain of salt and keep watching him. Another player who I think is a real bargain this year is Dane Zorko. He's still retained his forward mid-dual position status, and he's only priced at 447,200. And he got 70, and he was subbed off in the third quarter, around midway through it. So he was scoring very well in a Brisbane side that was getting crushed. So I think he's a lock in the forward line.
Yeah, absolutely. And another player that did quite well, considering Brisbane got thumped, was Ryan Lester. Now, he's only a midfielder this season, and if you want him, you're going to have to pay $374,500. He scored 98, so he might be one to consider, but probably not.
Not for mine.
Yeah.
Good way to finish.
Moving on now to we have got we're having a look now at the Pies. So Collingwood v Geelong, and very interesting. Probably I'd say a very entertaining game at the very least. Obviously, Scott Pendlebury, kick us off.
Yeah, Scott Pendlebury is he's a personal favourite of mine. Just up there with Guzza as well. He's priced at $683,100. So I think he's the most expensive player.
Most expensive player again.
And yeah, so I think he's worth the price tag. He, as we saw against Geelong, he scored 98, but was only subbed on in the second quarter. And to score 98 after being the sub, not bad at all.
It's huge.
It is huge. Another huge player that everyone's going to get on, I think, is Dane Beams. He's priced at $497,200. Scored 103. He's just pure lock. That's all I'm going to say. Lock him in.
Lock.
Lock him in.
That's all you have to say.
Now, one of my favourite boys, I kind of get excited when I mention him. Taylor Adams, love you, Tay. 410, he's an awkward price. I don't know about him, but he's sitting behind the likes of, obviously, Pendlebury, Swan, Beams, Ball, Sidebottom, those sorts of guys. So he really should be benefiting from that. He won't be the marked man at Collingwood like he was at GWS. So one to consider. He scored 90 points, looked really good in first hit out for Collingwood. And also a rookie defender midfielder you should be having a very close look at, Tom Langdon. Yeah. He's someone that's going to be really, he's probably going to slot in early, is the whispers that we've heard from Collingwood. He only scored 36, wasn't really reflective of how, I guess, he played because he came on late as a sub. So someone to look out for.
Yeah, definitely. One guy I really like, Ben Kennedy. Now, I forgot to, you guys didn't mention at the start, even though I look like Cameron Wood, I don't go for Carlton, I go for his old team, Collingwood, as does Paige.
That's a good one.
So I get really excited about talking about young Collingwood players, and Ben Kennedy is probably one of the most exciting young Collingwood players. As a forward, 220, 700. For me, it was a toss-up between him and Sean Higgins. Now, who knows about Sean Higgins?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Who knows?
Risky.
And
they're
talking.
Risky picks at that price.
They're talking about playing Kennedy a lot more this year, so that's the word on the grapevine. So we'll see how that
Dominated
goes.
the VFL with 24 disposals a game, so probably his time to step in, I would think.
Definitely.
And two Geelong players, Corey Enright to start off. He's a defender priced at 506, 800. He scored 86 and he's still so reliable. It might even be his last season, but, you know, who knows how good he's going to be in his last season or two. He's a great player. And as well, Cam Guthrie, he's a defender and he really played those shutdown roles last year, but this year he seemed to be pushing more into the midfield, and it was great seeing the number 29, you know, bursting through the middle of the packs for Geelong. He only scored 73, but it was the way that he played that really, you know, made me consider, because he's around that bracket with like your Sean Atleys and that sort of thing. So I think Guthrie's one to consider as well. If you don't have Suckling as well, that might be another player that you might put into your team. So very well done by Guthrie.
And one player that we actually haven't mentioned yet, who is our special guest on the show this week. Look, no surprises who it is, because I think everyone knows how I feel about him. Nathan Freeman is going to join us on the panel.
I'm excited about that.
Hey, Nath, how are you going?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, good. How have you found? Obviously being drafted to the Mighty Pies?
Yeah, it's great. Honestly, to be drafted, you know, it's one of probably the biggest club in the AFL. Comes with a bit of scrutiny, but as well, it's been a lot of fun. You know, with the fans and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I've slotted in pretty well, and yeah, still adapting to AFL life. But, yeah, loving it at the moment.
And look, I was pretty excited that you got your debut last week with Collingwood, and unfortunately, although we did see signs of exactly what you were doing last year for the Sandy Dragons, you copped that unfortunate hamstring injury. How is that looking at the moment?
Yeah, it's been unfortunate, but it's the way it goes. It's going all right at the moment. You know, it's pulled up pretty well. It's settling down a little bit better than expected. So. Initially thought maybe 4 to 6, so yeah, another couple of weeks on the sidelines.
Well, I hope you get better soon. But look, tell us, who have you found on the track this year, well, this pre-season, I guess, that's looked most impressive for Collingwood?
I think two of the blokes that I sort of had a bit to do is with probably Brent McCaffrey and Taylor Adams, I reckon. Just their work ethic, and they're always 1 and 2 in the GPS results, very hard they're working. I think judging by the other night, where, you know, Tay racked up 30-odd posies and Caff had high 20s, certainly seen some reward for their, you know, work ethic this summer.
And obviously you've had Jesse White come across the club as well, which is not only exciting for the supporters, a bit of a foil for Trav, but how have you seen him on the track, and do you think he's probably worth having a look at in terms of SuperCoach?
Yeah, look, I reckon he would be a good pick. He's sort of he's got his confidence up now, I guess, and he's settled in really well. He's comfortable with the boys and comfortable with the game plan at the moment. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see him and Trav and even Reedy up front work together. But I think he'll be one to go if he gets, you know, a lot of game time up forward.
And obviously one player that has been spoken about at length with SuperCoach players has been Clinton Young, because he is quite cheap. How is he progressing? I know he copped a bit of a knock last week. He looked like almost your token Collingwood supporter without your front teeth.
Yeah, that was ugly.
It was pretty pretty bad. How's his pre-season been?
Yeah, he's been good. I think he's missed a beat. So, yeah, he's been killing it on the track. Yeah, he hasn't missed a beat. So, yeah, it's good.
And look, who would you have? Tell us in your honest opinion, Nath. Would it be Scott Pendlebury or Dane Swan as your captain if you had to choose one between it?
Ooh, tough.
And you can't say Pendles because he is the actual captain.
Look, I reckon, I don't know. Look, I'll probably say, I don't know. Oh, no, I'm going to throw a curveball and say Dane Beams.
Oh, I like that.
That's good.
That is a good one.
Very
How has
clever.
he been anyway? He looks pretty lean.
Incredible. He's been incredible. They backed it up the other night as well, just showing how good his pre-season's been. And apparently, from all reports, he's pretty cheap as well. So
he certainly is.
Definitely lock.
Fantastic. Well, Nath, thank you so much for joining us on the SCP show. Really hope that hamstring heals up very quickly because I think you're going to have a pretty good year for the Mighty Pies, and I would like to bring you into my team because I think everyone knows how much I do love you as a player.
Cheers, Paige.
And there we go. Drops the nickname. Look at that. That's
nice little cash cow.
Nice. Thanks, Nate. Thanks, Morgan. Cheers, Nate.
No worries, guys.
Take it easy.
See you later.
See
you later.
How good is that? Nathan Freeman on the show. He's a little bit pricey this year at 173 odd, but I tell you what, although he may sort of come on as a sub probably later in the year now after that injury, he's probably someone to look at as a mid-year to back into the year downgrade for some cash because they already spoke him up as having some pretty good attributes to really bring into the side from round one, and that injury is just a huge blow.
Yeah, and you need those sort of players as well to downtrade too, and he's good quality.
Exactly, and he's a good bloke. We do love Morgan.
Him along with Sharon Berg will be two really good ones to look at.
Very, very good ones. But look, what we're going to do now, we're going to have a really quick, and this is going to be a quick 30 seconds. Yes or no? You too, Joyce. Jack Martin, is he in your side at the moment or not?
50-50.
No.
No?
Not at the moment, no.
What do you got, Mickey?
Yes, but I'm considering trading him.
What do you got?
I haven't got him. I did have him, traded him out upon his performance. Wait and see how he goes in the second game.
I'm worried. He's got me very, very worried, but I've got him. I'm going to keep him. I want to see another game before I make the final call because I reckon he'll pump out 100 in the first game in full assault.
Yeah,
but
same.
Look, that's all we've got time for. Obviously, thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in for our very first live show. A bigger thank you as well to Nathan Freeman and, of course, our sponsors, Australian Sports Network, who are producing the SCP show this year. Thank you, everybody, and we're looking forward to seeing you next week.
And thanks to Joyce as well for joining us from sunny Sydney.
Yeah, thanks for taking your time out from Sydney, Joyce. Appreciate that, mate.
No worries.
Enjoy the cash.
Thanks for trading for me, Joyce.
No
See
worries.
you later, guys.
Catch up.